How's it going, everybody? This is BeatTheBush. It looks like due to the current situation, we're headed for a depression and there's going to be a lot of layoffs. Even without a depression, I minimize my spending just out of habit. I spend about $1,350 every single month just on all my basic expenses. Today, I want to talk about what you might want to do if you suddenly find yourself being laid off, or if you're not too sure about the future. You might want to limit your expenses just for now, just for the next month or so, just in case you might need to conserve your cash. Now for the people that's laid off, this is kind of like a very broad spectrum thing, because if you're not part of the essential services, if you're working in the service industry or anything that is somewhat social, those jobs are looking like there's going to be a lot of layoffs going forward. There are other jobs that are opening up to compensate for this. Walmart is hiring 150,000 jobs. Amazon is hiring 100,000 jobs in the fulfillment and delivery space. I personally worked in an Amazon warehouse before, and I'll have to tell you that a 4-hour shift is pretty grueling at first until you build your muscles. You gotta stand all day long in order to sort the boxes and put it on the pallets. You might do better off doing the delivery because you're just going to grab all the boxes, and those are the people that sends the boxes all the way to your door. Possibly working at a grocery store, because those things are still up and running. Everybody needs to buy groceries. Basically, people that are not going to the restaurants, now they have to buy groceries. So there's a lot more demand for grocery stores, possibly even Costco. I haven't looked at the career site on there. But something you might not have realized is that it seems like pizza stores are actually doing very, very well. People seem to want to buy a lot of pizza. It's like kind of like a comfort food. So demand is really high on there, and they need a lot more delivery people. You might also consider other food deliveries such as Uber Eats, DoorDash, which is something I tried out myself, Grubhub, Instacart. This is something where you go to the restaurant, you pick up the food, and then you bring it to a different address, and then you give it to the person. It doesn't earn all that much, but it is pretty good money if you were working minimum wage before. If you were to be laid off, I don't have to say this, but you really have to look into unemployment benefits. I know if you've never gotten it before, it might seem kind of mysterious. So really jump on it the first day that you got laid off. Make sure you file all these forms so that you get your money ASAP. If you've exhausted all this and for some reason you can't get hired at these places, there are other ways to scrape together a little bit of cash here and there. If you are at home and you're waiting for a job to come through or something and you got nothing else to do, you can try credit card churning, but I don't think this is gonna work out too well in this type of environment. Because if you need to spend $500, you probably only want to go to the grocery store once or twice and buy all of that to fulfill that 500. It's probably a lot harder to fulfill a credit card churning of $3,000 because you're not going to buy that much groceries. It's a lot easier if you can go to restaurants, if you can take a flight vacation somewhere. But in the current situation, you're not going to go to restaurants. You're not going to buy all that much stuff because those are non-essential stores. You're not going to go traveling anywhere. So the amount that you can spend might be a little bit limited, and you probably don't want to spend all that much on expensive groceries because that might just be wasting it. If you guys are interested in just scraping together a little bit more money, I'm not saying this is a great way to earn money, but you can sign up for a Webull brokerage account. This is an affiliate link and it would help me personally, especially times like these, because whenever I make a video about this situation, my videos actually got demonetized the last 4 or 5 of them. There, no money there at all. If you sign up for an account, you'll get 1 free stock. If you deposit $100, you get another free stock. Each stock is worth something between $2,000 and $1,000. Another thing that you can think about is go through all your credit cards. If you're like me, I have like a dozen credit cards, and each one of them might have a little bit of cash back. I don't know, little money, right? $25, $50 or something like that. And you just go in each one, just redeem all of it, and that's gonna give you a little bit of money there. If you have a change jar, go to your bank, ask for the sleeves, and then you can spend some time putting all this change into the sleeves and then deposit that money. I know the last time I went, I deposited roughly $120 or something, depending on the amount of change that you've collected. The tax filing deadline has been moved from April 15th to July 15th. This goes for the federal and California state tax. So although the deadline has been moved, I personally am thinking of filing it anyway. I'm gonna try because my taxes are actually really complicated. But if you usually get a refund, this is somewhere you can scrape together a little bit more money. There has been talks for a stimulus check of $1,000 to $1,200, and they're thinking they might be able to afford to do this twice. So my recommendation is just wait around for this until it finally gets approved. It's likely going to come through maybe in the next couple days or a week. And once it goes through, you have to make sure that you qualify for it. Whatever way that they're going to distribute it, you want to get your money fast. The likely income requirements for this is likely going to start phasing out at $75,000 a year. And generally, there have been talks that the income requirements, they're going to look at your tax filing income from 2018. And if you don't have 2018, it's going to go to 2019. In the current situation, it's the perfect time to practice minimizing your expenses. I personally have been doing this just out of habit. I looked at my expenses just recently and I spent about $1,350 every single month. Things has fluctuated a little bit. My insurance has increased a little bit. It's $95 instead of $37. I can see my interest income going to zero, so I cannot rely on this. My dividend income might be in jeopardy because a lot of big companies, they might cut their dividend when they have financial issues like this. So I'm just going to assume I'm not going to get any of that, and I still have a requirement of $1,350 every single month, and I need to earn this money somehow. Let me go through all the different types of expenses so you can just follow along and make some notes if you want to do it or not. For example, for rent and mortgage, right? Because this is such a widespread issue of people getting laid off, there have been talks that you might be able to delay your mortgage payments, you might be able to delay your student loan. They might do a thing where you don't have to make a payment, they're not going to penalize you. They might add on interest, so your principal amount is going to get a little bit larger every single month, but at least you do not have to pay for those months and you're not going to get foreclosed upon or something if it's a mortgage, or they're not going to kick you out if it's rent. So you really have to check with whoever person that you pay, or check on the news, you know, if there is some law enacted that allows for this. Another way to spin this is if you rent somewhere and you are renting month to month, you might want to consider moving in with someone. You might want to do something more drastic in order to drastically reduce your expenses. Maybe move a whole family into one single room. I know when I was a kid living in Hong Kong, this is possible. It's just that in the United States, people are just used to having a lot of space, and it's perfectly fine as long as you have a roof over your head. Another thing that you want to start thinking about is minimizing your expenses in all your utilities, including your gas and electric. I'm not going to talk too deep into these things because I talked about them before. I have solar panels right there that I just hooked up, and I put it more into the sun, and now it looks like it's going to take about 10% off my bill. I have a do-it-yourself solar panel type of thing down in the video description below if you guys are interested. But if you do not have solar panels already, I don't think this is probably a good time to spend the capital to buy the solar panels, because it might take about 3 years before you recuperate the amount that you spend on it. For example, my setup costs about $300, and it's probably going to earn me about $7 back in electricity every single month. So, you know, about 3 years in order to recuperate my costs. If you have a large place, or if people are living in different rooms, you might want to consider maybe you should just all bunch up into a smaller space so that your heating requirements gets reduced drastically. You might also want to do an electricity audit where you use one of these devices called a kilowatt. I'll leave a link to that device down in the video description below. It doesn't cost all that much, about $20. You just basically go around the house now that you have all this time, you know, after you get laid off and stuff, just plug it into every single device that you own, and then you can see its standby power, its active power when the thing is actually on. And if you just look at every single thing in your home, you're gonna find out how much power everything draws, and then you can make an informed decision if you want to completely unplug something because you only use it once every 2 weeks. For example, if you have a microwave, I found out that it's not quite worth it to unplug and plug it in every single time you use it, because over the entire month, I might save maybe 10 cents or something if I avoid all vampire power. So I decided to not unplug and plug it in because, you know, it doesn't save me all that much money. I'm okay with paying 10 cents a month to leave it plugged in. Something that can save you electricity on your refrigerator is if you have it somewhat empty, there's not much stuff in it, you want to put things such as drinks. If you have a supply of drinks in the garage and you're just saving it for later, you might just want to fill up your fridge with these drinks, with beer, with sugary water type of thing. Just fill it up so that every single time when you open it, the cold doesn't just pour out. Doing this will save you some electricity, whenever you open your fridge, and your fridge does not have to, work really hard to make the air cold again. Another thing that you might not have thought of is if you are a late waker like I am, you might want to wake up earlier, because if you wake up early, you don't have to turn on the lights as much. If you go to bed earlier, you don't have to turn on the light during nighttime. So this is going to offset some electricity usage, and this is going to help you save a little bit more on energy costs. For using less water, you might want to take shorter showers. You might want to not water your plants anymore as much as you can, as much as you're allowed to by your HOA if you have one of those. You might also want to check your toilets for any kind of leaks, just so that you're not just having all this water just leak down the drain for nothing. If you are laid off and you don't have any job prospects and you are just sitting around with unemployment and stuff, and you don't think you're going to use your car, or maybe if you have a family with 2 cars, you might want to consider just leaving 1 car in the garage and just switching to using 1 car instead. That way, you might be able to go and cancel in your insurance, which might save you $100 or more every single month. If you're sheltering in place, you don't really need your car anymore. You're not driving all over the place, so you're gonna save a lot in gasoline. You're not gonna buy all these restaurant meals or anything. You're probably not gonna buy all these new gadgets, new clothes or anything. You're not gonna go around shopping. So luckily for all of these things, you're not gonna spend much money on anymore. I do have to say that if you plan on leaving your car unused, you still want to turn on your gasoline powered car every couple days or so, just so that the engine gets lubricated and stuff, and any kind of condensation just gets evaporated when you turn on your car. You also want to attach your battery maintainer just so that your lead acid battery, that big 12-volt thing, gets charged up, because if you just leave your car there, even for a week or two, generally it drains the battery. And when you cycle the battery this hard, especially for lead acid batteries, they tend to break themselves. And if you do this a few times, you might have to replace your lead acid battery a lot quicker. And this is going to be another $100 to $100 expense if you do not take care of this lead acid battery. So if you have a battery maintainer, put it on and make sure that it keeps on remaining charge. If you do not have one of these, just make sure you turn on your car once in a while to charge the battery. For any kind of car maintenance or home maintenance, you probably, if it's not an emergency, you probably want to put this off just so that you can survive this, just in case that you don't have any income coming in. You're probably not going to do it anyway, because if you're hurting for cash, you probably will put off these kind of maintenance things. Any kind of elective surgeries, any kind of cosmetic type of dental stuff, anything that's not super duper urgent, you might want to put off for now. A cell phone plan, for all you guys that have a very premium plan like Verizon or AT&T, costs you $80 a month, now is probably the time to cancel those services and switch to something like Mint Mobile. This is something I personally use. I personally have the 12 gigabyte a month service, but roughly a couple days ago, they sent out an email saying, okay, because of the situation in the economy, we're suddenly going to make everyone's service unlimited. So I think even if you sign up for it during this month, even if you get the lowest grade 3 gigabyte version, you're going to get unlimited data. They may extend this going forward if this situation lasts for another month or so. So if you get this, then essentially you might be able to get free internet. You might be able to watch all your news, your YouTube or whatever, and you might be able to cancel your personal internet service and save a little bit of extra money there. If you guys are interested in this Mint thing, check out my referral link down below. When you're cutting your expenses, there's a lot of things that's non-essential. You might be able to cancel your regular landline, but I have to warn people, you have to be very careful of this, especially when you have special medical needs, because sometimes a cellular link is not all that reliable. Imagine someone, they have an issue with their heart or something and they're on the floor. You're trying to use your cell phone and calling for emergency services or something. Maybe it doesn't work for some reason. You might want this landline as a backup service. So be very, very careful if you really need a backup phone service such as a landline. There are other things that are pretty obvious to me. I don't have any kind of subscriptions such as magazine subscriptions, food subscriptions. You can cancel those, those cook yourself type of things. Video services, you can get these for free these days. Gym memberships, right? You can't even go to the gym, so why not cancel it? I know sometimes they have these things where you have an initiation fee or something, but I mean, you don't know how long this is gonna last, so you gotta weigh your costs and benefit over here. If you are getting laid off, then, well, you probably should cancel it, even if there is an initiation fee. Your health insurance, I'm not saying to cancel this, but I personally just kind of thought about it a little bit, but I'm like, well, what if I get sick? I still need my insurance. So, I personally am keeping on to this. But for people that get laid off, you might need to pay a lot of money to get COBRA. If you are an independent contractor, you might have to just pay this anyway. So I don't recommend to actually cancel your health insurance. Probably legally, I cannot recommend anyone to do this. And I personally am not doing it as well. I hope going through all these depression era type of mentality, type of actions that you can take will help you guys out in reducing your expenses and possibly reduce your burn rate, extend the amount of time that you have before you get kicked out of a home. I feel like even if that happens, probably your landlord might be a little bit lenient, hopefully, because even if you get kicked out, they're not likely gonna find someone to replace you, just right around this time, especially when everyone is in the same situation together. So I hope these tips help you stretch your dollar a little bit more. Don't forget to give me a like, comment down below, let me know if this helps. And as always, don't forget to push that subscribe button and ring that bell icon. Thanks for watching.